Hi, I'm Simona Spelman, Deloitte's Chief Human Officer, and I am so excited to be here. I mean, look at this. Is this not every girl's dream? And even more so, I'm with the most amazing company. We've got Shelley here with us today. Shelley, would you mind introducing yourself?
Okay, first, I'm so excited to be here with you. And I'm Shelley Zalis, the CEO of the Female Quotient, otherwise known as Chief Troublemaker, breaking all the rules that make no sense, creating new ones, and having a conversation that is unplugged about where we are, where we're going, just excites and delights me to no end.
It is exciting, and I'll tell you, especially for me, given the moment that we're in. I just came on Sunday from Sicily. My mother and father live there. So talk about this real moment for me and getting to meet you, like literally an icon, right? I still very much think about the fact that I'm this little girl from Sicily, first to graduate college from both sides of my family. And what am I doing here? Like, how did I get here? And then I meet you and I'm like, this is who I want to be. Talk a little bit about your journey and how you got here.
Well, first of all, thank you. But I have to say that back at you, we all have had different zigs and zags along the way, and we bring such different experiences, lived experiences, business experiences to the table that I would say 1 + 1 is 11. And so, you make me an 11. So thank you for that. I'm excited. My journey has been very untextbooky. That's for sure. I started in market research. I had an idea to migrate research from offline to online in a day and age where no one was online.
Like amazing.
But the early adopters. And, as a researcher, you need to have a representative, reflective population, which it wasn't. So I was very much ahead of the curve. I was always told that it was too early. It's not the right time. I'm not the right one. I'm going to fail. It's not going to work. It's not possible. And, that might be true. But I remember, my head said, listen, my heart said, ba-boom, ba-boom, I've got to go for it.
Yeah.
And also, how would anyone know if it's not possible? They never tried. They never did it. So how can they tell me it's not going to work? And so, I always push forward following my heart, not my head, so that I wouldn't talk myself in or out of something. I was the only female CEO, top 25 in market research my whole career. It didn't hold me back, but I knew I thought differently.
Yeah.
I knew I had work-life balance challenges in the corporate traditional world. So, of course, I rewrote all the rules, the uncorporate rules that became the new norm.
Yeah.
I was tired of being the exception. And then after I sold my company, I realized it was time for me to give back with generosity what I wish I had my whole life, which was girlfriends in business. And so I started the Female Quotient. And this is where we are today in paradise. But more importantly, it is about, rewriting the rules in the workplace so all of us can thrive.
Yep.
And now we have over 8.5 million women across 100 countries and 30 industries supporting one another, and conscious leaders in Fortune 500 companies opening their minds to possibility, to opportunity, to access in a whole new way.
So all the things that you have talked about are all hitting the human. They're all hitting the heart. They're all hitting the emotion, right? Because people said no, and that gave you the energy and the desire to do it, right? That's something that AI is not going to unlock, right? Talk to me a little bit about, are you seeing different skills and characteristics as kind of this new workforce enters our orbit, really? And we talked a little bit about the fact you've got young adults, children, and they're in the workforce now, and kind of what that's starting to look like for them.
It's funny when you use the word emotion. I just had a meeting with Ipsos right now. I had sold my company to Ipsos.
Right.
And when I sold, I had 250 employees. Now I'm selling to a company of 16,000. I did 60 million in revenue, selling to a company of 2.6 billion. I operated in 5 cities, but pushed a button for global, being online. They operated in 83 countries. And I was sitting at the first board meetings, and there was 25 of us, 2 were women, and they were talking about my employees like chess pieces. This one goes here, and this one goes here.
Your heart was probably to your feet.
not only was my heart to my feet, tears came down my eyes. And I remember saying emphatically, well, that's not where Carol belongs, or Paul belongs, or Peter belongs, or Mary belongs. They belong in this group, and this group, and this group. They're not,
they're not pawn pieces. So you're not.
And after that meeting, it was pulled aside, and I was told, there's no room for emotion in the boardroom.
Says who?
And so I had two options. One, with my head, agree, I just sold for a lot of money, and it's my first board meeting. Or do what I did, which was give a speech to thousands, and it was called Bring Emotion to the Boardroom, ! Heart, heart, heart. And it was a moment of transformation for me, where I realized how important. I don't care who tells me empathy doesn't matter. I am a human, real, empathetic, compassionate, passionate leader. And I am not going to evolve and be someone else. I am going to bring my whole self to the table. And so when you look at today, skill sets that matter, AI is going to, be a co-pilot. You need AI, you need HI.
It's going to amplify.
You need artificial intelligence, but you also need human intelligence, and that they are co-pilots. It's not a pilot. Neither one is. We have to fly that plane together. And where AI is amazing is in the data piece. But what AI can't do is the meaning piece.
Right.
And so we still need the contextualization, the storytelling, the strategy, the tears.
Yeah.
Tears don't come down AI space.
Right.
That's this.
You said something that I love that really brought this home. You talked about AI can give you the best recipe, but it can't taste it. Right. And I think to me, like that's amazing.
When you're doing things for the first time, someone has to be the first. You also have to be the second, and you have to be the third, the sweeper. And that's how change happens. AI, everyone's so afraid of it. So we go with fear versus thinking about the opportunity and the possibility and the what if. If you use AI properly, you're going to accelerate, you're going to amplify, you're going to transform in ways you never imagined. But there's no textbook on it, so you can't read about it. You got to take the risk and try.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, and technology is going to continue to be democratized, really. And the real only differentiator is going to be the people that kind of get that multiplier effect correctly. It's interesting. I just a couple of months ago now, we spoke to a couple of universities, and we talked about where does the responsibility sit for the workforce, the campus recruits, when the campus hires, if you will, right? What's the curriculum they're learning, and how do we teach them empathy, judgment, curiosity? How does that work, and who holds the responsibility for that? Any thoughts there?
Well, I think, first of all, we should be working with our future leaders on curriculum and things that they should be studying, and not the textbook stuff of how to code. If you want to code, that's fine.
You could learn that easily. Go online and go to class.
How to use AI for a solution-oriented. It's a new ingredient. Like when you talked about the recipe, it is a new ingredient that is a very essential ingredient in baking the cake. Maybe it's the what makes it rise. Let's do a bread. You need to take good care of it and put the yeast in. Maybe it's the yeast.
Yeah.
It might be one of the most essential ingredients. But every ingredient is an essential ingredient in baking a cake or making bread, or I don't make any of them. I can't get a cake.
Wait, so my daughter has a starter called Michael David. She actually named her starter. So because she loves and feeds it.
Right. And so I think we need to be, I think our students need to be learning not that there's AI, but to apply it. And especially solution-oriented AI application, not just, it's an AI agent. What do you need them for? How can it advance from where we've been to where we are? It's the same problems. We have the same problems in the workplace. Nothing has changed.
Right.
It's how can we use AI as an accelerant, as a content collector.
Right.
You need the content collector, AI, and then you need the content creator, HI. And so they're both essential ingredients in success.
Yeah. It's funny, like I feel like we are in such an incredible moment right now. It's exciting. I mean, someone was asking me the other day, like, if you could go back in time, where would you go? I'm like, the 90s. I go back to the 90s, a little bit simpler. I had my big curly hair. It was easier. But the moment that we're in right now, the possibilities are endless, and it's really up to us to shape it and use AI for good to create the future that we want.
I think that every leader today has to ask just a very crucial question, which is, who am I missing? To ensure the unbiased, the representation, the reflection, that every community, every mindset, every experience is represented in the data, because we know junk in, junk out, opportunity in, opportunity out. It's what we focus on and the intentionality we use in the choices that we make today.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have 2 daughters in the workforce right now, and my daughter just came back from an experience, and she said she spent the first week learning a lot of things online, and she questioned whether or not this was the right field for her. The second week, it was all in person. And she said, I learned more in that human interaction, and I'm so excited about my future here that I would have never learned online.
Listen, I think most things are not in a textbook, especially things forward. It gets his historical back. And at the end of the day, people are still, human is about a heart. Technology doesn't have a heart. It doesn't beat, ba-boom, ba-boom.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel.
No.
It doesn't taste. It listens to your input. It doesn't listen by itself. So someone has to feed the strategy or the context or, what needs to happen into it. So, all of those things is just so obvious.
Yeah. So I know we are running out of time here, but I want to say your energy in person is even more spectacular. If I could just take a little bit of that and put it in my pocket for always, like, that would be amazing. Thank you for everything that you do for women. I don't know how to thank you and applaud you enough. Thank you.
Oh, so grateful. Thank you so much.